Hello, hello, everyone. So happy that you're here. Welcome to the Soul Rising Sanctuary event where I am interviewing Jessie Prejean. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
That was close enough.
Okay. What is it?
Prejean.
Prejean. Okay,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
French coming in there.
That's right.
Welcome, Jessie.
Thank you.
Let me introduce you, give you a little bit of a bio to everybody. Um, Jessie Prejean is an integrative spiritual coach and medium devoted to guiding sensitive souls through their awakening journey, helping them live empowered, embodied, and authentic lives. Welcome, Jesse. So happy
Mm.
that you're here. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'd like to just start off with, first of all, asking you. We were just talking about this when you first came on. It's like you're the only male in the group.
Right.
And yeah, and you have it's like you just are so grounded in what you do. So, can you say a little bit more about that, being in the spiritual realm and probably being the only male that comes around in a lot of the groups that you're a part of?
Yeah,
Yeah, can you share more about that?
absolutely. I'm happy to. And before we started recording, I mentioned that I was a gymnast growing up, and in that space too, not a whole lot of men or boys at the time really there, and that was something I just felt innately comfortable with. I think if I look back at my childhood and growing up, I was definitely a mama's boy, and I just had more of a tendency toward the divine feminine. It just felt something that felt like something I was more in touch with. And so being around women, being in spaces where it's mostly women is not uncommon for me. And just like you said, in the spiritual space too, it just seems to be kind of how things are. But I don't let it really take away from my work and my purpose. I think, in fact, the ability I have to really bring in the divine feminine is a really healthy um, aspect of who I am and the work that I do to be able to bring it forward and show up as someone who is a man in this space.
Yeah, I love that. We are all souls, right?
That's right.
We're
Yeah.
all souls. Well, I wanted to ask you, when did you first realize you were intuitive or you were called to do this healing work that you do?
That's a great question. In retrospect, looking back at my life, I always knew I was intuitive because I was highly sensitive. I just didn't know that's what you called it. I didn't know that was intuition. I didn't have anyone to tell me that it was or otherwise. So I know I've always been intuitive,
Mm.
but the moment or series of moments that led me to realize how intuitive I was and that it was intuition and sensitivity that brought me into purpose was an experience I had back in 2011. I had an initiation into subtle energy, and through a series of chakra openings and an experience with energy moving through my body, moving through my heart, moving through my hands, I knew I was being called into something through those experiences. I just didn't know what yet. And
Mm.
so it was in it was the result of those experiences that my sensitivity, my intuition really just heightened. And it was almost an overload at the time. I didn't know what to do with it. I was tuning into everything. I could feel spirit. I could feel, others' emotions like it was my own. I could feel the energy of the space. I could tell you if an argument had just happened in a room.
Mm.
Um, so all of that, having those experiences and then tuning into my sensitivity in that way got me asking questions, which ultimately led me to start exploring what does this mean for me? What do I do with this? Really
Mm-hmm.
was the question I wanted to answer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, what can you share maybe a little bit about? I call them life quakes.
Hmm.
Yeah. What, or soul awakening? Is there a maybe a particular soul awakening or life quake that happened for you where it's like, okay, this is what happened, but I can start connecting the dots more about what this is? Is there something?
Um, well, I would say that moment for sure. And to give you a little bit of backstory, there was a really life quake period. I love that you call it that because what I've called it in the past was the cosmic two by four.
Oh,
Like you get smacked across the face. Yours is much gentler. I like that. But it really felt pretty intense for me. And the experiences leading up to that awakening moment was a very long, dark period for me. I struggled being a sensitive person, being a man who was sensitive. Um, and I struggled with a lot of dysfunction from, childhood and neglect and emotional abuse and things like that. And so that really led me to some really poor coping
mm,
mechanisms. And I struggled with addiction and alcoholism for a good part of my 20s. And it was in the process, it was a really slow going, painful process to the bottom that really shook my life up. And it was in the moments I chose to you know, break free from those patterns, break free from addiction and alcoholism, that it sort of just opened up and released this energy for me.
yeah. Yeah. It's like when you hit rock bottom where it's like, oh my God, wait a minute. I have choice. Because I heard you say choice. You chose.
Mhm.
And that I think that's a big one for us as spiritual beings living this human life, right? That when we can understand energy, and I hear for you that it was really important to be able to understand what do I do with all this energy and how can I create some boundaries about that so I'm not so overwhelmed, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So, what tools did you use to be able to help you learn how to be able to hone in on the skills, those intuitive energy skills that you now know? What are some boundaries, energetic things that you learned to be able to help you?
Great question. And I could probably talk to you for hours about that because I love energetic tools. I love spiritual tools. I'm fascinated by the different types and what we've, brought into the human experience. But having had that energetic awakening and experiencing energy the way that I did, I needed to understand energy. And so the first tool I was led to was Reiki. And so I learned Reiki and some other energy healing modalities. And what that did for me was created a framework around energy. It taught me how to channel it. It taught me how to use it in some kind of effective way. It taught me how to direct it in a really useful way. And then along the way too, I really needed to learn how to ground out. So part of my learning, and that took me years, even after the awakening, to understand how to ground in my body, how to feel safe in my body when I'm doing those practices, because it's very much key. It's a key component to being able to have an effective energy healing practice or whatever you use. And then it was an evolution from Reiki. And I know this happens to a lot of Reiki practitioners that your psychic senses will just start to awaken more and more.
Yeah.
And I started to develop psychically. And many years into my Reiki practice, I started seeing and sensing spirits in the room with my Reiki clients. And I started getting validation that these spirits I was seeing, sensing, and feeling were actual loved ones who had crossed over. And so I just let spirit guide me to the next thing. And so mediumship became a big part of what I do and how I developed, and one of the tools that I use. And that's been a journey in its own. And so over the years, I've continued to explore more and more tools. And I gave a talk about one of my favorite tools that I've come to love over the past several years is ritual magic, ceremonial magic. It's got a lot of power and strength and groundedness and embodiment behind it, which is why I love it so much. And I'm always looking for, what am I drawn to? What spirit guiding me to next as far as a
Mm.
tool to put in my toolkit. So, but that's just a few of what got me started.
Yeah, I love that. So something that came up for me, and I wonder if when people talk to you and they're not quite sure, ceremonial magic sounds kind of woo-woo. To me, it's
Yeah.
not, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
for some people, it is. So how do you actually frame that to be able to help others understand uh,
Yeah.
the 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 importance of ritual or ceremonial magic?
Well, I think when it comes to anything that's ritual or ceremonial, it's about harnessing and honing intention. And anything can be ritual, actually. As a matter of fact, everything in a sense is ritual. It's just how present are with the ritual itself.
Mm.
What is our intention behind it, and what are we using it for? What results are we directing the energy of the ritual towards? The beauty of ceremonial magic and ritual magic is that these practices have been around for ages. And ceremonial magic, also known as Western magic, is sort of a hybridization of mystery schools that come from ancient Egypt, that come from Jewish mysticism, and that come from practices in Hermeticism as well. Among other things, there's also some Abrahamic qualities about it as well. But it's really an amalgamation of these types of practices that have been embedded into the collective conscious in such a way that by using them, we're accessing an energy that's already there.
Mm.
And it has developed a potency over time because it's been something that's been used for ages. And so I love that idea. I love that concept that I'm tapping into something that has been known for ages to have a powerful effect. And what we know now is, all of the symbolism and the concepts that are embedded into these ceremonial magic practices are things that are in our psychology, are in modern psychology today. And so now that we've evolved and studied, the human mind and spirit in these different ways, that we're able to really bridge psychology and magic and mysticism, and understand it from a more modern perspective. But the ceremonial magic itself is probably one of the most powerful or potent, for me, psychological healing tools I have discovered so far.
Mm. I love that, Jesse. So then what kind of shifts or transformations do your clients or your community experience when they learn this particular modality, ceremonial magic? What do they experience, or what shifts or transformations happen?
Good question. So I'll speak to myself briefly. Um, I was able to use the discipline and magical practices to overcome and work through phases of depression. So depression was something that I struggled with for a long time, and I just kind of let it be what it was. It was one of these seasonal type things, or it would come and then go, and I just would deal with it. But after being, working in ceremonial magic for many years, I came into a space of, phase of depression, and I decided I'm going to work my ceremonial magic while I'm in this and see what happens. And it ended up being a really transformative tool, not only in, guiding me through the phase of depression, but showing me and revealing these unconscious parts that were contributing to the depression that I wasn't able to see. And for me and a lot of other people I know who are practitioners get those types of results because these rituals are about purifying the psyche and bringing the unconscious into the conscious.
Yeah.
With
Mm.
other people that I've taught because I do teach classes on ceremonial magic. I've had students tell me that certain rituals helped them to overcome certain things in their lives that other modalities couldn't touch, that their therapy couldn't touch. Not to say it's, to be used outside of therapy, but along with what they were doing, something about those rituals was something their system needed to be able to resolve and process and integrate those unconscious parts of themselves. And then for my coaching clients, if it's something they want to learn, absolutely, I will guide them and teach them through the systems of ceremonial magic. And I've seen quite a few of them transform and change. One in particular I can think of has really learned how to refine and hone her energy, whereas before she felt very scatterbrained and just kind of pulled in all directions and just not really feeling in control of herself. And so through the ritual and the discipline, she's been able to accomplish so much in being able to focus and really contain her energy in a way that has brought, beneficial results to every aspect of her life.
Mm. Well, what I feel about you, Jesse, is that you have this grounding presence that helps your clients feel safe. Yeah, because whatever old stories, trauma they have experienced, it's hard to feel safe and hence maybe be really scattered because to really be able to just pause and ground and focus is a tough thing to do, because that's the coping mechanism to just kind of like be all over the place. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm,
So I,
mhm.
I love that about you. So I can see how it's helped you, but it's also helped the clients that you work with. And I think that's something that's really, really cool that what you do.
Thank you.
It feels like a cool little niche that you're doing.
I think it is. And
Yeah.
I'm starting to realize more and more how niche this kind of is as far as a tool
Hmm.
in ritual magic. And of course, it's not the only tool I use in my coaching practice, but it is one that's kind of very unique. And like I said, I love it. I think it's making a comeback in the collective, and I think it is a really good thing because we need more tools. We need, everyone's different, so different tools work for different people. So, and it's been one of those that have been so impactful, and I get really jazzed up sharing it with people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
So, talking about trauma,
Mhm,
there's different levels. There's small t and capital T, the big T.
mhm.
How do you support release for your clients without re-traumatizing them?
Great question. Well, for me, being um, trauma informed in my practice is really important. Recognizing a client's limitations when it comes to trauma processing, it's something I will never force. It's not
Hmm.
something I think can be forced, but um, when clients are entering a space within themselves that they start to recognize maybe it is a traumatic experience, I have a variety of somatic healing, integrative somatic tools that I use and guide them through. And it's more so for me, I'm able to demonstrate in session with the client and guide them into the trauma so that they can learn to safely process while I hold space, right? I keep the space and container grounded while they do the work, right? I
Hmm.
can't do it for you.
Right, right. Yep.
But also trauma healing and processing has been a huge part of my personal work. So I've done an incredible amount of peeling back my own layers. So I understand from my perspective and experience what navigating certain traumas might feel like. So it helps me to really attune to my clients and kind of be with them where they are, and empathize and connect with them on that level and guide them through it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you've been there, done that.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And
Exactly.
so you have the life, the lived experience to be able to do this work and guide clients towards their transformation. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, yeah,
That's a really important part of my work, and I think can be one of the most impactful things that coaches and healers and therapists who are kind of on the front lines doing this work, I think is one of the most beneficial qualities that we can bring. Because if you have been in the trenches, you know more of how to guide someone through it.
yeah.
And not only that, but if it's something you've been through, I think there's naturally an organic, energetic resonance that is created through your field, having processed and healed the trauma that the client unconsciously can connect with in their trauma healing process. And that adds a significant amount of benefit to doing trauma healing.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I can so relate for sure. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. So how, because this work is so sacred,
Mhm.
right? And that you have this grounded, loving, compassionate presence for your clients. How do you take care of yourself?
That's a great question. And I'll answer honestly. I do take care of myself, but it's always an ongoing, shifting, evolving thing for me. Um, but probably if I were to say like my main self-care practice is doing enough in my life. Um, Taking space, creating space for myself to nurture and care for myself more than I ever have in my life. And I think just by giving myself permission to take things slow, giving myself enough space to step back if I need to step back in my life. Um, and you got to remember, I'm on this path too. So it's imperative that I do my work. So having healthy boundaries, in my business, in my life, um, energetic boundaries emotionally, because it requires a lot from me, and anyone doing healing work, it takes energy and effort and inner resources. So the more space I create for myself and my life, the better off I am in being taken care of in the process. And of course, I have healers and other resources I tap into. I have a shaman I've been working with for, geez, probably 15 years now. And so that's part of my self-care as well.
Yeah, you have this awareness of your energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and know when your body and when your whole energy is like, okay,
Yeah.
I need to take a pause right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It is.
yeah. Well, I truly believe that no woman is an island,
Hmm.
and we are here as a collective to not just help light leaders, teachers, healers bring more light into the world, but that we are on this path as well. And I wanted to ask you this question because I think that a lot of people feel like when I'm healed, then I can do this or I can do that. Um, yeah, can you say more about when I am healed?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't wait. I think if we allow ourselves to stay in that pause, it kind of is something that can lead to, missing out on more opportunities to heal and to grow. Because what I've learned, and I've worked with coaches and things like that in the past who have pushed me to step into my work, step into my light, step into my purpose, even though I felt, like it's impossible or I don't have the skills. But those moments when I do choose to show up, even though whatever my internal dialogue says about it, those are the moments I grow the most
Yeah.
when I'm putting myself out there, when I'm stepping onto the stage of the world and, allowing myself to be seen and be vulnerable, even in my imperfect state, because none of us are perfect.
It's
It's not
true.
about, it's not,
Hmm.
it's not about achieving perfection to
Hmm.
me. It's about embracing your imperfection, but also learning that along the way you can change and evolve and you do, but part of the process is to allow ourselves to be completely vulnerable and seen. And I have to share this because being a part of the Soul Rising Sanctuary this past week and, investing myself into your support, man, did it bring up some stuff for me. And it was hard, but what it did,
Mm.
and I know the process now. And when spirit calls and says, do this, I know somewhat what to expect. Um, but then, it really shows me because I'm showing up and I'm being myself and I'm stepping forward in my purpose. And then all that other stuff in the background, that unconscious stuff that's still there, shows up and it shows up for me to integrate. And now having tools and experience, it's a little bit more of a palpable experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, even me showing up to talk,
Yeah.
I think everybody has, I call it, fear is an acronym for false expectations appearing real. So when we have this dialogue of ego mind going, oh, what are we doing? Really?
Hmm.
And allow that to just kind of like fade away and just drop in to say, I'm this vessel for spirit and I'm going to share this work. And that's exactly what you do. And I really sense and feel that. And it's just, I mean, and as a male, I give you kudos beyond kudos, Jesse. And I think it's
Thank you.
really, yeah, beautiful. So then, what do emerging healers need to hear right now from you?
Hmm. So when I communicate with spirit, which I do often. I do channeling on my own as well, and I connect with higher beings who have a lot to say about that, who have a lot of advice. Um, and if I were to kind of consolidate that, and then from my own personal experiences to trust that guiding force that is always there with you. And I think leaning into that more and more is going to get you, where your soul is asking you to go. And it's not about having all the answers right now. It's just that moment to moment experience we have in the present moment of what our intuition says, what our body is leading us towards, not what the mind is trying to convince you of otherwise.
Hmm.
I believe that, having that perspective and maybe have some guidance along the way because, you know, being connected to that part of ourselves can be challenging at times. The world is loud and chaotic and confusing. And to have a mentor, to have a community, to have people that can remind you of where your spirit is in all of this can really help you bring that forward and start sharing your gifts with the world because I've said this the entire time I've been doing this work. We need more. Like, we
Hmm.
need everyone that has an inkling of a calling. We need you.
Yeah.
And we got you. We got your back.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That inkling of the calling.
Mm,
It's really trusting that little nudge.
yeah.
And I love that you say being present,
Mm,
really listening and just really be present moment by moment to let go of the distractions because
mm,
the world is has a lot of things going on
yeah.
and just come within and just tune in, I think is important. But also having mentors that can really help
Yeah.
you is really important, is key. So yeah,
Yeah, that can
yeah,
accelerate
yeah,
your path forward.
yeah, yeah. Well, what do you feel most called to serve in this season right now? Or who do you feel, I'm sorry, who do you feel most called to serve this
Hmm.
season?
Well, the people who are like me, the ones who resonate with my story, the ones who are highly sensitive, the ones who are empathic and intuitive, and that feel stuck or feel overwhelmed or just confused about what the next step forward is for themselves. And, the ones within that group, if you could say that, the ones who also feel that inkling of a call to do something big, to serve, to help, to heal, to support people, who are natural leaders and people who just love to help. Those are the people. Those are my people, and I've really tapped into that recently and as of this year, and I started to create community around that. I built a Patreon page for people who are highly sensitive, or I call the sensitive souls in the world, to start building community around that and start to lean on each other for guidance and support, but also so that you can start bringing your expertise and your gifts, your unique sensitivities forward too, and we can teach each other, and grow together, and be able to, help you move forward and do your thing, live your purpose in this lifetime.
Yeah, love that. Do your thing and live your purpose for sure.
Yeah,
So, can you share? I know that you have some links that you're going to be sharing in the comments, but
yeah,
can you talk more about what are you offering? What's unfolding for you that you'd like to be able to share?
absolutely.
Yeah.
So my main focus these days, and it has been for many, many years now, is one-to-one coaching and mentoring. So that is an option. You could take a look at my website. It's just my name, jesseprejean.com. You can look at my coaching offerings and structure. You can even set up a one-on-one consultation with me that we can just chat, get to know each other, and see if my work is a good fit for you. That's kind of my main focus. I still work in the world of mediumship and do readings and things these days. So every now and again, I'll teach classes. I'll have events. I love doing mediumship demonstrations. That's my favorite way to be a channel for spirit, in that world. So I'm always working on something there and working with colleagues who are also mediums. I just have fun with it. Again, like I said, that Patreon group, actually just launched it, not even 3 weeks ago. So I've already got people coming in. I've already we're building community. We've got communication channels that you can just talk to each other whenever you need. You need guidance, just want to check in. And then I teach classes. I have group healing circles that we do once a month. I'm going to be doing a live Q&A this week, and I just have some really cool exercises and tools that I'll be putting in the Patreon ongoing. So that's definitely something I recommend checking out, especially if you're just like really kind of curious. Yeah.
Is there a cost for that? The Patreon, being a Patreon?
So yeah, the Patreon, well, there's different tiers. So I
Okay.
I do have a free tier where you can get just kind of see what's going on, participate in a few things here and there.
Mhm.
It's definitely not as immersive. You may not have access to all the tools. I'll be offering some free tools every now and again. But with the first tier option, That is generally for people who are wanting to immerse themselves in the community. So that's the healing, community healing circles, the communication channels, all the tools that I'll be, recording and putting in there. And I even have an upper tier level, which includes all the community access, but also a 45-minute one-on-one session with me. So that's good for people who are, they want the community and they're just curious about what it's like to work one-on-one with me without having to fully commit to the long-term packages. So that's what that looks like right now. And who
Yeah.
knows, it may evolve over time,
Oh, I'm sure.
You know how it goes.
We always evolve. So make sure that you put those links in the comments where I have the interview for you as well. Yeah, and they
Absolutely.
will be accessible for everyone to be able to see. And then Jesse is an Amplify speaker for the speaker event, so his offerings will be on the featured section as well. So you'll find it there in the next day or so. So in closing, Jesse,
Mhm.
what words of wisdom would you like to share?
Mm. I feel like what I want to share at the soul level is you don't know yet how much love you're capable of holding.
Mm,
And that's something I come up against all the time and I continue to revisit in my healing journey. And it's a truth that I land on every time I go through a period of struggle and challenge in my life, that I learn how to love myself in a deeper, more impactful way than I ever knew possible. And that, it comes from within. It's something we can tap into. And it's something that exists now in the present moment, not down the road, and certainly not in the past.
yeah, beautiful. It's a practice.
It is a practice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
consistent practice, reminding ourselves. Yeah, I love that.
Thank you.
Well, Jesse, thank you so much. Really,
Thank you,
truly.
Bessie.
I'm so very honored that you said yes to be interviewed. I love your work. Everybody, please make sure you check out Jesse's offerings and connect with him. He has a
Um,
lot of beautiful offerings there, so make sure that you connect with him. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Jesse.
Thank you, Bessie.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you, everyone.